Whew boy, we've got some mail today, guys, and I have no idea what to expect out of this. Okay, so Joe R. Vintage Pokemon here, and we've got some mail that we just got back. One card submission to CGC. I've never submitted to CGC before. We used Polaris grading services for this, and very quick turnaround time, I will say. We paid for the $50 submission tier just so we could get it back extra quick. Took a couple weeks, but here it is. And it looks like it's double packaged up. So inside here, we have a Fan Club Magikarp, which is one of the most sought after Japanese promos there is. And I was searching for this card. I reached out to a Facebook group that specialized in Japanese Pokemon card collectibles, and someone said that they could source one for me. PSA 8 is going for around, I want to say around 6,000, and he said that he could source me a raw copy in PSA 8 quality condition. We looked over the card together. Really straightforward guy, name was Henry, and he went and purchased it at auction for me. And he got the card. We looked at it again together, and it all checked out. You know, we're looking at the same pictures, and I'm guessing it was Yahoo Japan because it was auction. But we were looking at the same pictures together, and it looked pretty good. I don't know what's front and back. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. We were looking at the same pictures together, and it looked really, really clean. And then upon getting the card, you know, it was a long process. He had to get it. He had to then ship it to me. And then I took a look at it, and there was a little bit of damage to the card, unfortunately. That was really hard and not easily noticeable. But he was really straightforward with me the entire time about it. So I give 2 thumbs up to my man Henry for sourcing me this card. And it looks really beautiful, but I have no idea what to expect from CGC for a grade. So, I mean, it could be anything from a 4 to maybe as high as an 8, because I don't know how they're going to call it on the minor damage. Basically, the card has a little bit of an indent at the bottom. It looked like someone maybe have clipped it at one point. You can see it down there. Very, very tough to see, but maybe we'll get a better look at it in a second. You know, we'll take a look here real quick. The card here at the top has some edge wear here. You can see there's a little bit of whitening right there, some on the corner. There's a little bit on the corner down here at the bottom. You can see it pretty clearly. It's not a ton, but it is present. But the thing that really concerns me with this card as we send it in is that we're going to get some glare on there. We're going to go along the bottom edge. You can see right here. Right there, it's small, it's right along the edge there. You wouldn't know it unless you were looking for it. It's a little bit of like an edge indent, if you will. It's like almost a tiny little sliver of edge indentation there. And I don't know how PSA would grade something like that. I've gotten cards from PSA that have graded 7s because there's like a teeny little indent in like the middle of the card. And I think that would probably be what this would grade as. But the rest of the card is really clean, and I think it could potentially score higher than a 7 otherwise. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. 7.5! Yeah, baby! Yeah! Look at that! Look at that! Oh, man, that is a gorgeous looking card! Baby, okay! Woo! Oh man, you can see right there's the surface. It got the subgrades, and you can see the centering got an 8.5, the surface got a 6.5, corners got an 8, and edges got an 8 as well. And oh man, I was super nervous because I didn't know if this was going to get, I'll put it right there. I didn't know if this card was going to get the 6. I didn't know if it was going to get a 7. I didn't know. Maybe we could get an 8. So it's too bad it couldn't get the 8 because, I mean, it's so close. but I can totally understand why the surface is what it is. But man, that makes this card super worthwhile. We spent around $4,600 on this card, so it was a big gamble, it was a big chance investment, and this really makes it pay off. Oh man, because I mean it's a gorgeous looking card. Oh, damn, that is awesome. I'm super pumped about that. So let's take a close look at this card. So looking at the top right and top left corners, you can see a little bit of fuzz there, first of all. But you can see it's got a little bit of whitening in these corners. So the corner score is what I kind of expected it to be. I thought it was going to be around an 8. You could see a little bit of whitening there. If you look on the back side, the corners are really good. You can see there's like almost no edge wear on this thing whatsoever. So that was kind of what I was expecting for the corners. And the centering, you can tell right away. I mean, it's off left to right. So an 8.5 for centering is pretty good. 8's the lowest grade that CGC will give for centering. So this is super awesome. And you look at that label there, unnumbered promo, Pokemon Card Fan Club, 600 points. That's super cool. So now let's get to the surface, okay? So looking at the surface here, and this is the danger of doing something with Yahoo Japan auctions. eBay, you get a lot of protections. If something isn't as it's described, or it comes to you damaged when it was pitched to you as not being like it's got an indent or a crease, eBay, you could send that card back typically. You get your money back. You're protected as a buyer. But with Japan auctions, what you see is what you get. And sometimes what you're seeing isn't quite the full story. So this card looks amazing, which is why we took a shot at it, me and Henry. And oh, man, Henry, you know what? This is great, man. This is great. I was really worried about it, Henry, but we pulled it off, buddy. Taking a look here at the front side, I'm gonna go down here to the bottom, and I don't know if it's not easy to tell. It was actually easier to tell when it was raw. In the case, it's kind of tough, but you can see right here along the bottom. See how there seems to be almost like a little bit of an indent there. So on the front, it's really not super noticeable, but it looks almost like a little bit of edge wear of some kind. And so that we saw on the pictures, and we said, it's just a little bit of edge wear. I'm okay with that. It looks like it's going to be like a near mint quality card still. And so we jumped on it. The backside, you could not tell that there was any damage whatsoever. So now we're going to look at the backside here. And when you look at the back, you could tell that what we're seeing on the front is, and it's really hard to see, but basically it's like a little bit of like an indent, like right on the edge. It's like covering the white. It's almost like somebody in Japan took a little alligator clip, or a little clip, not an alligator clip, that would be ridiculous, but a little like clip of some kind, and maybe like clipped it right there, maybe to pin it to a wall or something. I don't know. It's like a tiny little, and it's right on the edge of the card. And I think one of the things I was concerned about is how was any company going to view that? Were they going to view it as more edge wear or more surface wear? Because it was right on the edge right there. So now you look at the rest of the card and it looks really clean, right? You look at the whole rest of the card. Now, one thing that we also did notice upon getting it was that, and again, it's really hard to tell because now it's in the case, but as you put the bright light over it, see how right there, right at the top of the Pokeball, it almost looks like there's a little bit of a difference in shading of light right here at the top and right here for the rest of the Pokeball there. It's almost like somebody took a little bite out of it. That little difference in shading, it's almost like a very light indent, but it's not creased or of any kind, because I was taking a really close look at it and it looked really, really good. I mean, I couldn't feel it. I could only see it in bright light. So it wasn't a crease, but it was almost like maybe part of the stamp from the Magikarp. And you can barely really notice it. Maybe it's like this part of the body of the carp right here, perhaps. Still not entirely clear as to what exactly that was. But I was very concerned about that too when I first got the card, because again, these are all things that were not made super clear evident to me when we were buying the card. It's just like these super small, minute, hidden little damages, and I was really nervous because I didn't know how CGC would grade it. And so it comes back and it's a 7.5, and I couldn't be happier than that. I mean, that was really the best that we could expect, I think, for what it was we were sending off. And so this is like right up there. This is around like a $5,000 to $6,000 card. Would I prefer to have a PSA 8 versus a 7? Well, who wouldn't prefer an 8 over a 7.5? But I mean, I can't say I'm disappointed. I mean, this is actually better than I was expecting. I don't know how PSA would grade something like this. I think PSA would immediately shoot it to maybe even a 6, because they're very different in that instead of grading based on all the parameters of the card, they look at one parameter, and if that's the lowest, that's just typically where they shoot the grade at. Whereas CGC, see, they're throwing up all 4 categories, and the other 3 bumped it up significantly for us. So that's really cool that we got the 7.5. But a huge piece to the collection that we've now added in, and now we've got this thing added to the collection. And will it stay there? We'll see. I'm usually somebody that goes for PSA cards, but I really like the idea of this grading with CGC. In this regard, I like the label. Actually, one of the reasons why I opted to go with CGC was because it's got the blue Windows 98 label. It matches nicely with this card, honestly. The nice blue and white coloring of the label and the card, it just goes together really nicely, and I think it looks really cool. The only thing that would make it look cooler is if this was actually a gold label, in which case it would be a 10, but obviously that's not happening. So really beautiful card, really, really nice to look at. Those little minor dings that I'm talking about, they're like completely unnoticeable. Like now that's in the case, it's even harder to see, but you can see there still that bottom right there and the back. And this is a good example going both ways of what a lot of people say, specifically on E4. We see this a lot, is people saying buy the card, not the grade. But I think it goes both ways. If I were to just buy the grade and not the card, I'd be getting the condition that I was looking for in the first place. But in this case, I took a chance. Monetarily, it pays out because I got a nice grade that was above what I paid for the card, you could say. But at the same time, it did come with a little bit of those dings that, or indents, or a little bit of edge wears that you otherwise weren't going to be expecting. So one last time before we pack it in, and this goes great now with my PSA Fan Club Eevee and my Fan Club Porygon card. Beautiful to have added to the collection. And I don't usually collect CGC, but like I said, in this case, I don't mind it at all. I think the label with this card in particular look really cool. So you can see there, beautiful card, minimal edge wear. I mean, there's literally almost no edge wear on this thing. I think in part they might have actually counted that a little bit at the bottom there as towards the edges, which is why they got the 8. Otherwise, I think it could be potentially higher on the edges. But I mean, I think they scored this fairly. And I give 2 thumbs up for CGC because that's actually a pretty fair and decent grade for what it is. And awesome to have all 3 fan club cards now added to the collection. It's a big, big card that I was looking to add. And a 7.5 is about as good as I could have possibly asked for the card once it was received. I was super nervous about it, but damn, 2 thumbs up. That's awesome. I'm super pumped and excited that we got this thing. So guys, if you like vintage Pokemon cards and this is the kind of thing that gets you excited too, if you're happy for me and what kind of grade we got back, and grading is totally opinionated and all that, and I totally understand that, but I think this is a super fair grade. But like and subscribe if you want to see more things like this. We've got some returns coming in hot a little bit later on in the year, both from BGS and PSA. So we've got a lot of great stuff coming down the pipeline, some Pokemon history coming down the pipeline, some generic just Pokemon mail coming down the pipeline, something for everybody to get excited about. So stay tuned, more cool stuff later on, and we'll see you guys next time.